Buyers have given up on waiting for the market to continue to drop here in the Treasure Valley. The one thing that I want to ask and we want to look at is this LA fire going to be the black swan event that prevents the Treasure Valley market from crashing even more? We're going to look at the history. We're going to look at what happened in Napa and Sonoma and how that changed our market here in the Treasure Valley, as well as we're going to see what has been going on these last 3 weeks, where some people are calling it a Trump bump. That's what we've been waiting and watching to see. So here, we haven't posted a video in the last 3 weeks because something interesting has been happening in our market. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just one of these one-off weekers that, over these last 2 years, we've seen these 1 week excitement of buyers entering the market, and then everybody pulls back for like the next month, and then another week of a flood of buyers coming in the market. We've been slowly just watching to make sure, like, hey, what are we putting out to make sure that it's aligning with what's actually going on in the market? It kind of looks like this Trump bump is more than just a 1 week, 2 week, 3 week thing. If you've been a part of our channel, you've known since 22, we've been talking about our market is going down and it's going to go down continually. But this might show us that we might have hit that bottom, and at least until this Trump bump is over. So look at this. Look at this history here. This house was originally listed in 22. So September 14th of 2022 is when it was listed, and it had an agent. Now it was on the market. They pulled it off in 23. The price didn't change at $499,900. Then a different agent picked it up. They listed it March 17th. They ended up dropping it. It went pending for $470. They canceled they went back on market, and then this builder fired this agent. The last list price was $470. Then another agent picks it up, lists at $490, and then they end up firing that agent, and then a different agent picks it up, and now it's at $506. Now, the interesting thing is it was listed at $506, and that's almost 2 years later, right? Let me just double check. Yeah. So it took 2 years, and this builder was willing to drop it all the way down to $470. And then, he relisted it higher, then it would drop down, relist it higher. So we went through 4 agents, and this fourth agent, now that we're in this new era, a new president-elect, it seems like people are a little bit more optimistic. What I mean by that is somebody could have bought this at $470 when this builder had dropped all the way, and he kept bringing it back up, and somebody decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and pay $506 for it, right? Which is higher than the lowest this guy was willing to pay for it. So I bring this up because what we're seeing is more properties right now are going pending, and it seems like that's the trend, that more buyers are tired of waiting. They think that we've hit the bottom, or they're more optimistic. Now, that's something that I've heard from different buyers. I've heard some from people that have called and talked to us that we think that this new administration is going to bring a higher, a better economy, and the housing market is going to continue to move. We've heard from other clients, hey, we are tired of waiting, and we're just going to go ahead and bite the bullet, and we're going to jump into the market and buy something. I understand that we might lose, and this is what they're saying. We understand we might lose some equity in the short term, but I think long term we're going to be there. So we're seeing that people are either tired of waiting, or they have this high optimism of what's going on. This is just one house. There's also stats that are going to back this up. Something I want to talk about is the devastation of what's going on in Los Angeles, right? We saw this happen in Napa and Sonoma, in Napa Valley and Sonoma a couple years back, where this wave of forest fires just destroyed many people's houses, and they had to sit and think, what am I going to do? Because I have a house payment that I have to pay, but I can't live there. Is insurance going to pay enough? And it did end up leading a handful of people to cashing out of California and coming up here and buying property, whether it was real estate property or investment property, or they were buying up here to move. We helped a handful of those people. And so I just want to go into like the little bit of history of what has happened back then. Right now, it looks like, again, this is devastating, that this fire is forcing 180,000 people to flee, to leave an area where they call home. And that's a lot of people when you look at a place like Boise, the Greater Treasure Valley. Even if we only get maybe 10% of those people relocating up to the Treasure Valley, let me show you what that would do. Right now, in the year of 24, at the end of November, there was 7,623 people that moved just to Ada County. if only 10% of those residents move up here and buy something, that is a lot, right? Now, I don't think that's going to happen. We understand that not all 180,000 of those residents are homeowners. Matter of fact, it says that only 5,316 structures are destroyed so far from that fire, which is devastating. But even if we get a fraction of those coming up here, it will create some kind of stress on our market, stress that's not good for buyers, but would definitely be good for sellers. And so the reason I bring up the Napa and Sonoma is the structures destroyed just in that fire back in 2017 was 5,633. We saw a handful of people move up here, but it did take time. It took time for them to fight with their insurance company. It took time for them to make sure that they were getting paid out the right amount of equity in order for them to move up here. Keep in mind, from what we understand, this fire is not contained or not contained to where it needs to be. And the destruction of structures and stuff can be a lot more. And so I think we are going to see, just based off of past trends, we are going to see some people that are going to cash out and move up here or use that money from the insurance to get up here. But it is going to take time, right? It's going to take time to settle for insurance to figure out exactly how much they're going to pay out for the owners that are sitting on this land. Are they going to sell it? Are they going to go through and go ahead and build on it? But I do think it's something that's definitely going to affect our market based off of past trends. So let's just get into like just the nitty gritty of what has gone on in the month of November. And again, if you guys want to get this information sooner, quicker, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter below, where as soon as we get the updated stats, we send them out and give you relevant data here on the Treasure Valley market. So again, that's going to be in the link below. Let's just start with Ada County. Now, Ada County, we talked about this even last month, that the Ada County sales were on a rise. The pending sales were outpacing the inventory. And so what we see right now is the closed sales for November year over year, we saw a 25% increase. Now, the other thing that we saw year over year, right? Because so we want to look at like the year to date and the year to date, is there's about a 9% increase. This looks like this trend is going to continue into the year of 2025. There's been more houses that we've been watching that's been sitting on the market for 6 months that are now pending than we've seen in the past. So I think this trend is going to continue. How long it's going to continue, I don't know, but it definitely isn't just one of these 1 week bumps. It seems to be longer than the 1 week bumps, because we're at 9% inventory sold in Ada County. So that's new construction and resale, 9% higher this year than it was in 23. The interesting thing is the median sales price did dip down by 1% year over year, but year to date, it looks like it's up still. So that's something we're going to watch right here in about 10 days. We're going to get a new updated stats from Ada County and Cannon County, and that's something we want to watch, because the inventory is only up 12%, and then we see pending sales is up 20%. So it does seem like the trend of buyers getting tired and jumping into the market, it looks like it's going to continue. But we obviously, that's something we watch. So let's just break this down, because some people are out there and they're wanting to buy new construction, and some people are out there and we're like, hey, we want to buy resale. So something that we are realizing right now is sellers aren't wanting to take a loss. They aren't wanting to do a short sales. We have found some short sales. We have found some foreclosures that we've helped clients buy, but some sellers are like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And they're kind of holding out. And so that's something that we have just personally experienced. But as far as the resale market goes, you can see that there's been an increase of 4% for the median sales price year over year in the month of November. And that kind of shows, right, there's not as much inventory for resale. And so if somebody wants to buy resale, some sellers are just being more stubborn. And so it takes time. So if you are out there and you are looking to buy a resale, I just want to remind you, don't give up hard. Like if you are trying to negotiate, sometimes you might have to throw 1, 2, 3, 4 offers out there before the one that you like actually sticks. If you're a kind of person that doesn't want to endure through possibly getting multiple rejected offers, if you don't want to go through multiple counter offer situations, then maybe, just know you're not going to have as much as what you did maybe 6 months ago. At least that's what we've been seeing so far as a trend. We are seeing that the pending sales again are up 22%, and then inventory is down lower than the pending sales, right? So it's up year over year 15% as far as inventory, but it's still underneath that pending sales, which shows there's going to be a little bit more pressure on the resale market. Now, something that I found very fascinating was the new construction market. So the new construction market had a 10% drop in the median sales price. One reason why there's a drop, in my opinion, is because builders are sitting on inventory and they need to move it, right? If they aren't moving the inventory, then they're paying a loan on it. If they didn't build it in cash, most builders are not building in cash, and they have an investor or they're doing some kind of commercial loan. Remember, builders have commercial loans, and their interest is occurring on the loan every single month that they don't have it sold, and so they have a little bit more motivation to drop the price. And some builders are, some builders aren't. But let me show you an example of a builder. There's been a handful of builders, especially if you've been watching the new construction in the higher end. There was one builder, he went through and he slashed about $50,000 off each one of his homes. Tresidio, for instance, they were dropping their price, but then all of a sudden they did across all their inventory, they increased it like 30,000, give or take, it was anywhere from 15 to 30,000. But then they sent out a promotion saying, hey, we're going to allow you to get a 5% fixed rate if you use a preferred lender, which essentially means they they cushioned the price of the home so that they had the funds, right? So they increased it, they had the funds, and now they're going to say, hey, we'll give you this rate, a 30-year fixed at 5%. And essentially they just adjusted the price. Something to keep in mind is even though there's this 10%, almost 11% decrease in the median sales price in Ada County, what we're also seeing is these builders are still offering incentives, right? They're still offering, right now, Toll Brothers, you can get anywhere from $35,000, $25,000 in credits. Sometimes you can get more than that if you're using their preferred lender. Tresidio, although they bumped their price up to cushion this in, they said, hey, we'll give you a 5-year fix, but they're paying for that. Like there's seller closing costs that they're paying that this doesn't show. The 11% decrease in the median sales price doesn't show. So it would be a little bit lower than that. We had Vinte just a couple weeks ago. They dropped $50,000 off of almost all their listings in the higher end, from Staggs Crossing to other areas, because again, they got to move the inventory. Now, some of their homes that are priced in the lower price point, they didn't have to do that. So they aren't having to necessarily give as much incentives as that $50,000 on the higher end stuff. But we did see this. Let's look at this builder who built this house. And let's just jump into the history real quick so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This house was originally listed back in September of 22 at $1.1 million. They dropped it down to $1 million, put it back up for $1.10 million, dropped it down to $950,000. And now here, 2 years later, they're sitting at $840,000. So we're talking about $250,000 decrease on a house because they have to get this puppy sold. And so somebody right now, if they went in and bought this house, I actually previewed this for a client. Unfortunately, there's some things that didn't work about it, but this is a really nice house, really high-end finishes. And unfortunately, this builder, they're taking a loss, but this house is definitely, it has like Sub-Zero appliances throughout, I believe, or it's Thermador, one of the two. And so the appliances are high-end appliances. It had high-end finishes. And he could have, maybe in the beginning of 22 or late 21, he might have been able to get the 1.1 million, but now he's sitting at 840,000. And more than likely, this guy, based off of how much money he's had to lose or drop the price, he's probably going to have to sell this for a loss or maybe even a short sale. So whoever picks this up would probably get a screaming deal. And that's why I think we saw this big dip from new construction, right? 10%, 11% decrease in new construction median sales price, where resale is kind of sticking there, right? So right now, new construction is cheaper, sitting at $516,000 versus $530,000 for resale. And so that's going to be an interesting trend to watch to see if this Trump bump, or this hopium, or this I'm just sick of waiting for the market to drop anymore, that I'm just going to get in the market. It's going to be interesting to see how that changes things. So let's just jump into Canyon County real quick, because there's some more fascinating things that I think you might find interesting. Because remember, Canyon County, what's going on in Canyon County, normally it gets hit first, and then it moves into Ada County just because it's closer to the Boise, closer to the metro, and normally has a little bit higher, nicer amenities than Canyon County does. So Canyon County, right now we saw an increase of 34% of sales. So obviously there's an increase there. Year to date, we're up 6%. Our days on market, though, have kind of climbed significantly, right? So it's climbed to 38%. Days on market has increased 38% more than it was a year ago. The thing that is very fascinating to me about Canyon County, and again, we'll break this down, is the pending sales are lower in Canyon County than they were a year ago. So some things that tells me is that people are Canyon County is dropping, but when you can buy the same house in Ada County for the same price or less, people are going to buy more in Ada County than they will in Canyon County, typically just because of how close you are to so many other things. Inventory shot up 20%. So this is resale and new construction. Inventory shot up 20%, which is a significant jump. So December, what happened in December, we're going to see if that reflects over in the data here in the next week or so. And so I just want to remind you, if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in the Treasure Valley market, subscribe to our newsletter below. So let's finish going into this. We're going to break this down, resale versus new construction, just so that you know when you're going into the two, you know how to navigate, negotiate, etc. So resale is up. So resale is up 58%. Inventory is up 40% from a year prior. And then pending sales are up 45%. So more people are willing to put their house on the market. Obviously, that shows from closed sales and inventory. Sellers are willing to get out from underneath their house. And yes, some of these are short sales. Some of these are foreclosures. We're not going to go into that since we already kind of hit that, but that is something we're seeing. Now, new construction. Now, this is a staggering number for new construction, because if you guys know that we have plenty of dirt lots out there, but it looks like not as many homes are being sold in Canyon County. Again, you've already heard why people are not buying in Canyon County versus Ada County. There's a 19% drop in pending sales in Canyon County, which is a staggering number. 1/5 of the home, like it's essentially they're only selling 4/5 of the homes that they did a year ago in Canyon County based off these pending sales. Yes, they're up the year over year, but the year to date is only up 9%. So here in December, it's going to be very interesting to see how those things have changed and shifted our market, because days on market, this is a staggering number. Days on market has increased 61%. That is staggering numbers, right? And so we really got to watch what's going on with Canyon County to know if this Trump bump is superficial or if it's actually going to continue on. What we have to watch, we have to see, is this Trump bump just temporary? Is it going to continue? Is this hopium? Are people just completely tired? And is this devastating fires that's sweeping through LA going to have people move up here? Because we did see this back when Napa Valley and Sonoma happened. That did create a small wave of people moving to this area, relocating to this area and buying a property. And so these are things that we have to watch. Unfortunately, some of these people have lost homes, but fortunately, they might now have the opportunity to relocate that they didn't before because of this fire. And so it's something that we have to watch. We have to stay steady on. And so if you know somebody who would benefit from this, please share with them, like, subscribe. Until next time.